When I hear guys like Aaron Rodgers and Kurt Warner and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, either Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers, saying, hey, you got to give these young guys time. You got to be patient. You got to let them make mistakes. You got to let them learn before you just pull the plug and declare them a failure. When I hear guys like Warner and Brady and Rodgers say that, I have to take it into account because I'm a fan like all of you. I've never played quarterback in the NFL. I would imagine it's a pretty hard job. So, yes, when I hear somebody like those guys saying everybody needs to calm down and be patient, yeah, I'm going to listen to them because they would know. Absolutely. But I will also say this, it raises a question. How patient should the Tennessee Titans be? How patient should the fans be? Because I've heard analysts, and I've talked about it on the channel, they say things like, well, it took Sam Darnold 6 years over the course of 4 different organizations before it finally clicked. It took Baker Mayfield a while. It took Geno Smith a while. It took a number of these guys a while. Fair. But we all know, you can't sit here for 6 years waiting on a guy to figure it out. If Will Levis continues to play poorly for the Titans, at what point do you say we can't waste any more time on this? At what point do you say, okay, maybe in 6 years he'll be something, but we can't waste 6 years. We got a new stadium being built in that time. Good Lord, we can't do that. This is a league where you need to win. You need to figure out how to win. And you need to do it sooner rather than later. We all know rebuilding years happen. We all know, there are going to be years where you're down, whatever. But for the fan base, for the city, for the organization, you need to figure out how to win. And you need to do it relatively quickly. So it would be ridiculous to say the Titans should give Will Levis 5 years and see if... That's ridiculous. You cannot do that. If he does not get significantly better, my answer has been the same all year. You give him this season. You give him this season. Do I believe that by the end of this season that Will Levis is going to be Joe Montana? No. But the question is, will he improve enough this season to where you can get to the end, regardless of what the record is, regardless of whether the Titans make the playoffs or not? When you get to the end of this season, can you look at this guy and say, you know what? He improved enough that we can come back with him next year. That's the goal. No matter what the record is, you got to know, has he improved? And it's hard to imagine him getting worse because the turnovers have been ridiculous. There have been flashes of good, but the bad has just drowned all that out. Can he improve enough that when you get to the end of this season, whenever that comes, can you look and say, you know what? This guy got better. This guy is playing better. This guy is improving enough that we want to give it another shot. That's the goal. And as of right now, I've made it clear my faith in Will Levis is severely lacking at this point in time because of the turnovers, because of the mistakes. But you know what? That's why you stick with him. Because this is your young guy. It's not like your backup is going to take you to a Super Bowl. It's not like Mason Rudolph is going to come in and take you to the promised land. You stick with him and see. But you don't do any more than that. If he continues to play poorly, if he continues to make these crazy boneheaded decisions, and you get to the end of the year and it's not much better, then it's time to go another direction. Okay? And the good news is you're not in a situation like, I know Trevor played well this past week, but before that, the Jaguars were panicking because they paid Trevor Lawrence a lot of money and he was not playing well. You don't want to get in a situation like that. And thankfully, with Will Levis, you're not in that situation because he's still in his rookie deal. It's only his second year in the league. So If, worst case scenario, you get to the end and he hasn't improved or he hasn't improved enough and you don't want to waste any more time, then you can do that. But you give him this year. You don't give him 5 years. You don't give him, just take years off of this organization's life by continuing to press the issue in the name of patience. But you give him this year. Pulling the plug after 4 games is too soon. You don't agree with that, some of you, but pulling the plug after 4 games is too soon. Because what if he improves? I know, you're screaming at your phone, you're screaming at your device saying, he's not gonna improve. Listen, maybe not. You may be right, I may be crazy. You may be right. But if we don't keep him in there, we'll never know. You gotta know. I've been saying this the whole time. By the time this season is over, you gotta know one way or the other what you've got here. And I know we all get caught up in the moment. You can't know after 4 games. You can't know for sure. That's what Rodgers and Warner and all these guys are saying. You gotta give him time to improve. You gotta give him time to improve to see if he will. Because he may not. Listen, he may not improve. He may not. We may get to the end of the year and we may say that guy, he was pretty much still making the same mistakes at the end of the season that he was at the start of the season. And if that's the case, then yeah, let's go draft somebody. Let's go hit up free agency. Let's make a trade. Let's do whatever we got to do to get somebody else in here next year. But how can you know if he has the ability to improve unless you keep him in there? Now listen. Let's say, if the offensive line improves, and I think they will, most of them, if they improve and they give him better protection, who knows? He's made some mistakes in this first month. Maybe he watches those on film and it starts to click for him. Listen, I don't know. Like I said, my faith in him right now is not great. But unless you keep him in, you don't know. What if you pull the plug too early and then you send him somewhere else? You heard this story with anyone else anytime recently? What if you pull the plug too soon and you send him somewhere else and he ends up being good? Then you're going to feel like an idiot and everybody's going to say, why'd you pull the plug on him after 4 games? But I will say this, though. This Sunday's a big one because the Colts defense is not good. They're very hurt. Their pass defense is bad. Trevor Lawrence, who had been bad all year, lit up this Colts defense. If Will Levis does not perform well against the Colts on Sunday, we got problems. The conversation starts to change a little bit at that point. If he don't perform well against this Colts defense on Sunday, we got problems. But how long do you spend on him? You got to give him a chance to improve to see if he will.